y'all. Welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by Coco's Coffee House. Today we have our second episode of our baseball series, which is going to wrap up season 2 for us. Today we feature René Rismondo. She has a huge passion for baseball her whole life, and she's a graduate of NYU. She worked with the baseball team there, and she's going to tell us about her career path up into working at the MLBPA. Please welcome René. René, how are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to learn more about you. Like I said before we started recording, I feel like I know things about you and I've seen you all over the place, but I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Well, I'm excited to be here. And likewise, I think the sports community is a very small place, and so is the NYU alumni community. So it's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to this as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Well, first, I guess let's just start with background. Can you tell me who you are and what you do?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I am René Rismondo. I'm a graduate of NYU, class of 2017, and I currently work at the Major League Baseball Players Association, where I am the coordinator of player operations, and I have been there since 2017 as well.
Awesome. I love it. NYU, Violet Pride. So exciting. Cool. Um, yes, totally, totally. Awesome. Let's see. Next one for you. Kind of a broad question, but I think it's a good kind of starting point. What do sports mean to you? And I guess, how did you know that you wanted to work in the sports industry?
That's such a good question, especially the first part. What do sports mean to you? Because sports have been a part of my whole life, to be honest with you. I personally was a softball player, as well as a volleyball player and a competitive swimmer. And while I may not have turned into this D1 or athlete or professional superstar, um, it was a big part of my life. And I think the values that I learned from being a teammate as well as a student athlete translated into my professional career and where I am today in terms of time management, respect, collaboration, confidence, etc. So to me, sports are actually an outlet, not just as a fan, but for being an athlete as well. Since the young age, I not only joined my dad by going to Mets games or sitting on the couch and watching the Mets, whether they were winning or usually losing, sadly. I'm from Pennsylvania, so we would make the trip into New York City some nights after school, 3 hours each way to drive to Shea Stadium. So it was an outlet for me to have an experience as a fan. But when I first started playing Little League and realizing that the exercise and the athleticism, it became a place of enjoyment for just me as an individual as well, and an outlet for stress relief, an outlet for mental health, a way to meet new people, make new friends, gain these new skills. And it was also an opportunity to kind of emulate those athletes that I was watching on the field or on TV and try to be like them and try to be the best of my abilities, whether it was on the field or off the field or in the classroom or in my daily life. And so I think sports became a really big part of my life from a young age, in so many different capacities. And I'm kind of makes sense why I am where I am and what I studied at NYU, because it was just a big part of not only a passion, but my life as well.
Definitely. I think that's a big thing that they tell us at NYU is like most of us started out as fans and
Yeah.
like that's good, right? Like you have to kind of like sports in order to work in it. And
Yes.
then it's like having that fan kind of mindset, but also wanting to know more about
Yeah.
the business, I guess.
Absolutely. I remember literally day one, introduction to sports management with Professor Hollander, who I now believe is a dean of an incredible program at NYU. So shout out to Professor Hollander. But I was told, you're a fan. You're clearly here because you're a fan. But now it's time to separate the fandom from how to be a business person. You can still have a passion and turn it into a career, but you cannot go into the room thinking like a fan. You have to think of what is going to be for the best outcome for the player, the team, the agency, etc. So for me, having that background of sports being a part of my life gave me a really good platform and step to get into the program and do what I love and be where I am.
Definitely. I remember, I don't know if it was Professor Hollander or someone else, but someone said, if you go in with a fan mindset and you're a Mets fan and you go to a job at the Yankees, you're going to have a terrible time. So
Yes,
to get past that.
I definitely would have to agree with that.
I love it. Awesome. Well, we're talking about NYU. I guess, how did you decide to attend NYU?
So I feel like it's kind of a no-brainer for me. Not only is it located in the greatest city in the world, but it was a fantastic university. And going there, I knew I was going to receive a top-notch education from some of the best in the industry. I actually only applied to 2 schools. I was very set on where I wanted to go to school. I only applied to schools in New York and what I wanted to study. And I only applied to sports business programs. So for me, it was like, if I don't get into NYU, I'm only going to this other school and then hopefully transfer into NYU. But I was very set and determined that this was going to be the best education for me, as well as the best opportunity for me. And the sports business program at NYU, not to keep shouting it out here, but this is truly how I feel. It allowed me to combine my passion of working in sports, particularly baseball, into a realistic and tangible career where I knew I was going to be learning and doing what I love every single day. Not to mention the fact that you're in New York City and I can't even count a dozen sports teams, and they're home to the major league stadiums, major league sports leagues, and professional operations of the leagues, as well as agencies. So, no matter what angle you're entering the sports industry from, whether you want to be on the sports law and operations side, or you want to be in the front office, or come at it from a media and marketing approach, New York City is a really great place to be for that.
For sure. I think I had the same kind of, I know I want to do sports mindset. I think maybe it was more, I wanted to entertainment. I wasn't sure if I was going to go kind of like music, I don't know, theater, like that kind of stuff, or sports. And then I ended up here doing sports. So happy that I did it. But I didn't have the NYU, like, I know I want to go to NYU. I think I applied to like almost 20 schools and magically ended up here.
I toured so many, but I was just like,
yeah,
I'm the type of person, whether it's an apartment or a college or a car, I'm a feeling type of person. And I will tour 50 apartments and not waste my time on an application because I have to feel it when I walk in the door. And that's how I toured Princeton, and I toured St. John's, and I toured Villanova. I toured so many great schools that I would be happy to go to. They are very good universities. But when I stepped foot on NYU's campus, I was just like, no, this is it. This is the right feeling for me. I can see myself spending the next 4 years here. And I'm happy I did.
Yeah, me too. I had the feeling. I toured NYU last, so after we did all of those 20 other schools.
It's the same for me. It was literally the exact same for me. I'm like, why did I not do this first? It would have saved a lot of time in the car.
Definitely. That's funny. I know it was a rainy day, and for some reason that just made the feeling happen. But here we are. I love it. I love this. Been a great 4 years. But let's see. I want to kind of ask you about your time after NYU. So I guess you loved baseball already, but how did you find yourself at MLBPA, and kind of what was that path like?
Yeah, so let's see. Actually, I started at the NYU baseball team, and I was literally just the first statistician of the team, then became the manager of the team, and I was able to get into a position where I was traveling with the team, but I had such a respect for the coach and the program because they opened the door to me. They were willing to let me in as much as I wanted to come in. They didn't say, oh, you have to, sit on the sidelines here because you're a female, or, oh, you can't do this because you're not really on the team. They allowed me in the clubhouse, like in the dugout with the guys during the game. I was on the field for BP. They're calling BP or hitting fungos. I was traveling on the road with them, helping make the lineup. I was a part of the recruiting process. So having that opportunity on a collegiate level, which is in a development level as well, it gave me a firsthand look at why I really love this game and and why I really love, apologies, my email's going on. It gave me a firsthand look at why I really love this game and why I really wanted to work in sports, and particularly on the player side. I love watching the player develop, not just as an athlete, but as a person as well. And through NYU and through NYU baseball, I was able to get an internship at the MLBPA. I was very fortunate that that internship has since turned out into a full-time position for me, and I've been there since. But it's quite ironic because what I'm doing now is nothing to do with what my internship was. And I actually was a communications and PR intern, which for anybody that sounds great, but for me, anybody that knows me is like, you lose followers on social media, you don't post anything. So for me, I was just there, but it was a way to get my foot in the door, to do what I love and network and meet new people. And once the communications internship came to an end, I was fortunate enough that I had networked enough internally and was able to express my baseball acumen and express my desire to be in this game and want to be here and be loyal to this organization. And I was given another opportunity through an internship with the World Baseball Classic, which is an international tournament. It's a joint venture between Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Players Association. And I was the player services intern and was able to travel during that internship and be firsthand on site at these events and with the players and with the teams and handling the logistics and operations of the things going on. And for me, it was an incredible experience, and I knew that this was what I really wanted to continue doing. And fortunately, that turned into a full-time role in player operations at the Players Association, and I couldn't be happier. But I think just that collegiate baseball experience was a really big one for me.
That's awesome. I have two follow-ups for you, but I guess we'll start just because we're talking about MLBPA. What's your favorite part? Like, what makes this organization so special to you?
You know, for me, it's really the players, honestly. Baseball players, they come from across the globe, ranging from Latin America, the countries we know where guys come from, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, now expanding into Colombia and Peru. But they come from Asia as well, South Korea, Japan. And now we have players coming from Europe and even parts of Africa. The membership among baseball players is truly one of the most diverse in all of professional sports. And to me, getting to work not only with them, but on behalf of the players and having that firsthand ability to learn from them and their cultural experiences and a lot of their stories and getting to where they are and getting to the major leagues and to where they are today. That to me is something that is truly incredible. And I cannot take that for granted. So for me, having that experience and opportunity is what makes everything so incredible about what I do, and it's become my favorite part of working at the Players Association.
That's so cool. It's just so cool to hear you talk about it. But I guess
it's so cool to be on the other side
yeah,
and listen to it, honestly,
yeah,
and getting to go to their hometowns in these countries and see what life is truly like. It's very eye-opening for so many people, and I think everybody should take that opportunity to do it because you learn so much. Believe it or not, you learn so much from these athletes and these players. It's incredible, and it's not to be taken for granted.
definitely. I'm gonna take you up on your offer. I'd love to jump in. Awesome. I guess you kind of already answered this, but I'm gonna ask you again just so it's more specific. What's your favorite part about working in baseball? Like, what makes this sport so special to either you in your career? This can be personal or professional, however you'd like to take it. But it's obviously been your thing for a long time now. So, what keeps you coming back to baseball?
I mean, I could go on and on forever with you about this, right? But I think for me, the short answer is having the opportunity to say that I truly love what I do and I'm passionate about my career is what is something that is so important to me. Again, we went to NYU, we got an incredible business degree. I could be going into banking or a firm, and there is nothing wrong with that. But I don't know if I'd be sitting at my desk every single day from 9 to 5, 8 to 6, etc., Monday through Friday, knowing that I love what I do and I'm passionate about it. And for me, doing something is beyond a paycheck. And just that's the short answer, is combining a career and a passion.
For sure. For sure. My growing up, I had a sign in my room. I mean, I was like really little, right? I had no idea that this was going to be one of those like quotes that like stuck with me for the rest of my life. But it said, do what you love and love what you do. Like,
It's so true.
yeah, it's so simple. And like, I was like 6, when it was hung in my room, and I was like, I don't know what that means. But now I think about it all the time. And I think that's exactly what you're doing, which makes me excited. And I want to do that too. So,
Yeah, and
awesome.
it's, to be honest, it sounds so simple, but it can be really challenging, right? There are opportunities out there that you can see the money and you see the dollar signs and you want to jump on them. And I don't blame people that do, but for me, it's just, am I happy?
For sure. Definitely. Definitely. It's hard to find what you love. And then once you do, it's so exciting, right? Like
You
this
don't
is
want to
what
let it go either.
yeah. I love it. Cool. Let's see, just a few more to kind of wrap up here. I always kind of end on like tips and advice and things like that. But first one, what are some tips? You've given plenty of them, but I'll ask again. What are some tips you'd give to somebody who's looking to start a career in sports?
I actually love that question, to be honest with you, because whenever a student or prospective employee asks me like for advice, I kind of explain to them my situation, how I started as a communications and PR person, and people literally unfollow me on social media because I'm, one, not that exciting, but two, I don't post. I don't really like to use the platforms as much. And to them, it's kind of funny, but for me, it's like, no, that actually, I think, is a really valuable life lesson, to take an experience that you may not even want to do, to A, get in the door, or B, maybe you do end up loving it. So for me, I took it to just get myself in the door, because I was like, this is my first internship. I just want to meet people in baseball. I want to network. I want to learn. But sometimes internships are so valuable because they teach you a lot of skills, but sometimes they teach you what you don't want to do. And that's a very important thing as well. Owning and admitting that something doesn't make you happy. Why waste your time doing it if you're not really into it? And that's okay. So for me, that communications and PR internship, it was very valuable because it taught me, okay, when I'm done here, I'm not going to spend time applying to other PR internships. I'm going to take time to hone in on all my baseball operations and analytics skills and make myself the best candidate for those internship and positions that become available, because I learned what I didn't want to do. And it was a really valuable experience. So for me, it's try something new to get into the door and network, but also, if you don't like it, it's also a very good, valuable learning experience as well.
Definitely. I had one of those. I had one of those positions as well. And I think it wasn't about, I guess, not the company or anything. It was just, I found out which part of the company I didn't want to be in. But
Mhm.
now here I am. I was with a startup a while ago, a few years ago. And I was like, oh, I never want to do that. But it wasn't that I was with a startup. It was what I was doing with the startup that I didn't enjoy. And
Exactly. Same thing. I mean, I'm still at the same company all these
yeah,
years later. So it had absolutely nothing to do with the organization by any means. It just wasn't something that I saw myself doing for the rest of my life.
right.
And some people are very good at that. I don't even go on social media, so I can't say I'm good at that at all, let alone running a position for it. So I think it's not always the organization. It very much so can just be personal preference, and learning what you like and don't like and what makes you happy and doesn't is very important.
Definitely. Definitely. Awesome. That I feel like you've once again already answered my question that I was going to ask next, but that's okay. We'll keep going. Last question. I end all of my shows on advice. What is one piece of advice you would give to younger Renee?
I will give you a different answer. No, I think that's a really good question. For me, I would say to anybody, not even just younger Renee, travel and explore, try new things, experience anything new, whether you think you like it or you don't. And that can be career wise, but that can be something even as simple as food, right? I grew up in small town Pennsylvania. We did not have any restaurants other than our local pizza shop, burgers, fries, wings, what you would expect for our small town. I didn't think I liked sushi my entire life. Lo and behold, I moved to New York City for college, small town girl living in big city. I love sushi. I didn't even know I liked it. And I was afraid to try it. Every time somebody at NYU would invite me out, let's go for sushi tonight. Let's go get ramen. Let's go get Thai. I was like, I don't like it. Sorry. I never tried it. And then one day I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been missing out on my entire life? So something as simple as food, but also just traveling and experiencing new cultures, I think it makes you a more well-rounded individual. It allows you to make more informed decisions. You're better educated. You're seeing other perspectives, and you're trying new things you never thought you would like. Because for me, if I still was going this long without eating sushi, I don't know what I'd be doing with my life. So I think that's the best piece of advice I could give to my younger self and just anyone. If you have the opportunity to travel, do it. Go to new places. If you have the opportunity to meet new people and experience their cultures, do it. If you have the opportunity to try new food, whether you think you'll like it or not, I say do it, because I think in the end it will make you a better, well-rounded individual.
I had never had sushi before I came to New York either, and I do love sushi.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
It's awesome. It's so funny that's like another like such a little thing that like you think isn't a big deal, but now here we are. New
Yeah.
food, new place.
Thai food, I was like,
Yes.
what is the difference, to be honest? And ignorance for honesty, but I now know the difference, and I'm like, oh wow, it's amazing. Why have I not had this the last 20 plus years of my life?
Yeah, that's I love Thai food. That's like my go-to. And when I
Yeah.
went home for the pandemic, I couldn't find Thai food in Alabama. And I was
Oh,
like, oh my gosh, like I was there for like 8 months and I was like, I need my curry, I need something.
I know. I know I did not last very long at home at all because of the pandemic. One, because I think my parents have gone too long without having a child at home, and I think I've gone too long without being with my parents at home, as well as me missing any form of cuisine that we do not have in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
that I could get delivered to my door here in New York City.
Yes, agreed. That's awesome. Wow. Well, I hope that someone listens to this and goes and gets Thai food and or sushi, but also learns life lessons and takes away all of the awesome tips and advice that you gave. This was great. I always love speaking to NYU fellow Violets. I love it. But thank you so much, Renee. This was perfect.
No, thank you so much, Aggie. It's a brilliant idea, incredible podcast. I'm so honored to be here, and I would love to continue inspiring the next generation of NYU. So I look forward to working together again in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Renee, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us all of your great advice and telling us how you got to where you are today. Tune in to Adventures with Aggie on Friday for an old episode that we're bringing back featuring Matt Schultz of the Kansas City Royals.